Hey there, and welcome to a broadcast of Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise. This is the tournament highway to the Zemus Zone 5. We are in the semifinals of the Red Moon Waxing Bracket. We have Game 2 between Rhybon, who is one game away from the finals, and Pyre. My name is Sheep Launcher. I am here with Deathlike, and Deathlike, both of these runners want to really need to win this game. Rhybon does not want to lead this up to a game 3. Pyre needs to win to stay up in this bracket, and we have a foo start to get them going.
Yeah, I probably should roll more foo seeds for myself for fun because foo in this flag set rolls at a 9% clip, or so it is claimed. It's actually 9 out of 101. It's still 9. It's 9%. And yet I see more mops in seeds. So it's probably a miracle that foo gets rolled. This flag set contains a lot of bosses. And this is both Blue Moon and Red Moon. They're boss hunts, but in the red, it's been curated, so a lot of the more difficult bosses show up. So CPU being one of them, Magus Sisters, our old friend DKC.
Yeah, our runners showing us the bosses that are required. Our runners have to defeat 7 of these 8 bosses in order to get the crystal to take care of the big boss at the end, Zeromus. And yeah, there are a lot of physical bosses on this list. Antlion, Mom Bomb, and Dark Knight Cecil, and Odin. Any of them in a really high punchy spot, and that could give these runners troubles.
Yes, also noted in this group, there's no sparkle. Notice none of them are LST bosses, so if you see a sparkle, it's probably a reset if our runners are face checking. For now, they will be taking on each and every boss that they see because, hey, it's a boss hunt, and there's a bunch of key items that they'll probably also need in addition to this force hook route. Baron Key being the most popular, having 3 bosses gated, but there are other spots that are just as popular, like Earth Crystal or the Giant. Giant only needs darkness, so we'll be seeing a lot of these lesser played spots like Giant, and there will be much enjoyment to be had.
Don't forget, even if a boss is not strictly required, Fu does gain 100 HP and 3 new spells with every boss you defeat. A Lunar Sparkle hands the hook to Fu and Kane, and we are glad to have you with us here on RPG Limit Break.
Yeah. Kane start. So starting off with some slight vanilla. I'm hoping for a little bit more. Kane will need a little bit of help. Probably will just need a decent weapon, and good Val insurance because Fu has all the magic. We'll start with 6, gain 3 per boss fight. But still, we'll need a little bit of help. So Kane, can actually not betray the team.
And both runners will go to Mist Cave, only 500 HP at this spot. A Dark Elf here, not threatening. And in fact, Pyre will send Fu to whacking Dark Elf with a stick. Do want to thank our tracker, Judge Joe, and our restreamer, Bad Karma, for being with us tonight and putting on the show behind the scenes. And Rhybon is through the first boss and already has Cure 3 on Fu.
I think encounters are on for Rhybon, so that was probably was intended. We'll fix that immediately.
Yeah.
There's some decent loot. I think Pyre's decided need a little bit more loot. This area is weighted actually favorably more towards T5. We're on a T Pro flag set, and that dwarf X really nice. Can be, well, while not ideal, but if we find a Sid, Sid will be a perfectly good anchor if he is to be found.
Yeah, and the Dwarf Axe will be an okay weapon for Kayn right away, although that Gungnir Spear is better in every way. And in the Red Moon flags, remember, the back row glitch is not on, so the Dwarf Axe can help a character be long range from the back row, but you have to actually have it equipped in order to do that.
So it looks like Rhybon is just doing us kind of a short, but somehow I have summoned Sid from somehow, but Pyre has decided to check the antlion. Hey, it's more vanilla.
This is not vanilla. Vanilla for antlion is on the moon. So I will disagree with that, but certainly antlion in the namesake cave, and that is a boss off the table already. Definitely would rather see antlion here than at a tougher spot.
Yeah, I've seen antlion become kind of much greater nuisance on the moon, but being here, the damage is more than manageable. Kayn won't trigger anything, and hey, it's actually rare to see Fu bonking all the things. This is a new and hey, something we can check this if we really want to.
Yeah, that's a package. That is a potential boss check. It's a long one, but it's a potential. Do want to welcome in our raiders from Free Enterprise 2. A Fu start, as you may have noticed, along with Kayn. The opening item was a hook. And no, the only boss that our runners have found so far is Antlion in the Antlion Cave. And the boss in Baron was a Lunar Sparkle, of which none are required.
So here, nice, quite simple Hops check, but we're not picking up Yang. I guess it's a good time to let him knock some sense into him. So with a level 2 elemental, Pyre will probably make short work of the Karate Man, and that's fine. We can do some betrayal with Kayn.
And this is a French vanilla spot. Normally, Yang is the character recruited from Mount Hobbs. Instead, he's just hanging up here by himself. That is another boss defeated. Didn't look like anything too substantial in the way of spells. Pyre will go ahead and loot out the back of Hobbs. Both Fus started with exit, so all the looting is possible.
Yeah, like when you see a Tela start, exit is it's certainly essentially a loot pro loot type of deal. So when you see that, you're just kind of tickled. Hey, I can do some more looting, like at Watery Pass or back of Hobbs. So it's when you see exit, it's not just for leaving the lunar subterrane. It's for early looting.
I are going to head to Fabul to defend it from the invaders. That's very noble of him. But both runners have a package burning a hole in their inventory. Deathlike, what's your thoughts on doing an early package check? More vanilla, except it's an alternate gauntlet.
Yeah, I think Badcammer's decided every more vanilla for everyone. Woo! So my thoughts on package is really simple. It's either the thing you do before you do hook, or the thing you do when you have like six bosses completed out of the 7 required, and just you just have to kind of hope to peek at it. The thing is that if the package doesn't get what you want, you still have time to make up. Like, it's early in the race. Yes, you've sunk time into something that didn't pan out, but ultimately it's information, and worst case, you don't have to worry about it later. Whereas when you're in the late game, you're just trying to face check everything. So whatever doesn't, because whatever isn't required, not a big deal. Your opponent will probably do the same thing. So I think it makes sense towards the early or end game, but probably a little bit risky towards the mid game.
fourth boss here, 2 bombs, 2 gray bombs. Unfortunately, that does not count as defeating Mom Bomb. It's just the bomblets who are there.
But they're a family.
You would think so, but apparently that's not the way it works.
We probably need to import Dad Bomb. That's what needs to happen. Then that'll be one big happy family. Bombs, like, they have a bit more magic defense than you'd expect. So you have to actually use level 2 elementals to cut through some of the magic defenses. So it makes a lot of sense. Pyre finding out the reward, and hey, we can use the shortcut.
Yeah, the King of Fabul gives us a pass to his band's show. Now I'm thinking of what the King of Fabul's band name would be. Probably something like the Karate Geese.
Achu. That's what it is. Achu.
Achu.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an Aha cover band.
Yeah, I would need to have better music references. I just like, I mean, this is just what Yang likes to say. Achu.
Yes.
It sounds, I actually thought he had a cold. That's really what that's what it sounded to me. But
sure.
But that's what monks do. They sneeze before they kick. That's what they do, and they do it well. So looks like Pyre has decided Mount Ordeals is the way to go. Progression, in terms of progression, this is pretty linear, so that's fine. 3 bosses, so this will hoping to get like I think we'll probably pause Quake, but ultimately wanting to get Nuke. So this hoping by this time, completing this mountain, Nuke is going to be on the table, hopefully sooner rather than later. And wait, this is more vanilla.
And Rhybon did some shopping in Fabul, picked up a bunch of Ether 2s, which is going to be great for any potential grind. Also sold the farm, including the Spear, to purchase something in the weapon shop. I did not see what that was.
Well, just remember, for this flag set, so we, unlike the Blue Moon, where See Naked is enabled, our characters have their default equipment. So Fu having his default equipment is really much automatically online. Like if it was an edge, fully online. So Fu has his regular power, and so Azure easily taken down. Not a requirement, but having lit 3 easy going, and it's a Bigan.
Could be difficult on the back. You wish you had Quake for this. That would make things very simple, but should be simple enough. Going to take down the man in the middle. But I believe that Rhybon's Fu and possibly Pyre's Fu as well has a Charm Rod in addition to that Lunar Staff, which really increases the will of that Fu, makes those lit 3s even more powerful.
Wisdom. Black magic is wisdom, which is pretty much which is actually a lot of every magic that isn't white magic is wisdom and will. But I think he starts with a lunar staff, which I'm sure he can share with Tella if he really wants to. That charm staff doesn't matter who gets it. They'll be sharing lots of magical power. Hoping Pyre picking up key item before the boss, which is always nice to see. He was just kind of like Luke doing sealed cave. And hey, we have protection, so no worries here with the Val.
Rhybon's Fire 3 on everyone didn't quite connect, didn't quite take down all the parts of Bigan, so we'll have a little bit of an arm grind.
That was magic defense. This spot still actually structurally pretty high, but that's fine. Val only needed a little push and didn't take much. Kind of missed one magic stuff, but that was a quick reference. But hey, with Rhybon having bought the ethers, obviously meaning D machine grind is in the future if darkness shows up early. So that's Um, Obviously expecting Fu to do it, but hey, we have another guy. We have another character to do it in the form of Tella. Tella probably may not actually be as useful because you have a Fu, but you can always having a mini Fu, well, half a Fu or a form version of Fu, as a backup is not the worst thing.
Yeah, it really depends who the characters are in Mysidia. Neither runner has checked those out yet. Both runners take a Baron key for more deals. We know the first spot in Baron is a Sparkled, but there are still two more spots that it can be checked, and it seems like it would be a high priority for both. Chain that in with Baron in.
Yeah, Baron in with the two bosses is quite nice, but it looks like Pyre has decided to visit Mysidia, and we get a white mage and the other white mage.
So, okay, so we get the first best white mage, and we get the fifth best white mage in this party from Mysidia.
Well, Porum is number one in my heart. Even though that's the honest truth.
Well, my power rankings at this point go Rosa 1, Fu 2, Tella 3, Kane tossing Cure 2's 4, Porum 5.
My white mages still, though Rosa number one, Fu probably number two, but Porum number three. I actually, I haven't really put together that. So, but Porum, honestly, if you in a situation where you don't have any white mages, better to have a dedicated white mage than to not have one at all. So this seed probably filled with lots of pages, probably not really a concern. The only thing that we haven't, no, I think we have seen everyone, right? We don't. We've checked. Sid is in the watery pass, so I think
Pyre hasn't been there yet. Rhybon has.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Pyre could take on Sid if he wants a replacement anchor for that Tella, but otherwise doesn't have much of a use for him. And neither runner has seen the character in Damsian.
We'll probably bump into him pretty soon, but I think that's guards. Is that regular guards? No, that's Kaipo guards.
Yeah.
Oh,
they got lost.
They hadn't made a left at Mist. That's what happened. Made a left at Mist. That's directions.
Pyre single targets the officer, which might slow this down a little bit for him, because it doesn't really matter that you kill the officer first. Once the soldiers go down, the officer will just retreat, and you don't get any EXP from this spot at all. And hey, there's another Charm Rod.
Hey, you get a Charm Rod. You get a Charm Rod. Everyone gets a Charm Rod. I think it's, you know what? They can, with a Charm Rod, you can pretend to be a white mage too. That's the real story. And especially at that spot, there's no XP, so there's no. You might as well try to just get rid of the. Get rid of the soldiers. So, Rhybon taking the most efficient route of ending the battle. So that I don't think it's significant amount of time, but those seconds add up over time.
So there's a question in chat. We were referring to Sid or Tella potentially being an anchor, and I guess it's worth explaining what an anchor is. So in these flags in Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise, your agility, how fast your team goes, is determined by the person in the middle slot. And in general, for high-powered fights, for hard bosses that move quickly, you want to have a character in the middle with as low agility as possible, and that makes sure that all of your other characters can get lots of turns in ahead of the enemy. For easy bosses, you kind of want a fast anchor in the middle, and that means you're just kind of overwhelming the enemy. But yeah, when we refer to an anchor, that's what we mean. Somebody with a low agility who's going to kind of control the fight for you and and make sure that you are getting more turns than the bosses. And Sid and Tella both have naturally low agility, and Sid, you can equip, for example, a Dwarf Axe on him to decrease his agility even more, which makes him a desirable person to put in that center slot.
Yeah, you know what I mean. An anchor usually you refer to as being something to hold things down, and in this case, you actually want something slow. Early on, you want a fast anchor, so you would think edge, and more sparkles, because this seed needs we need all the LST bosses early, because they're no fun. So if you have it early here, it's okay. D-Lunars, not too bad. Weak to fire, they're undead, but
Yeah.
not weak to holy. So there's a very distinct difference. So only fire, and they also burn you, which doesn't help. Tella takes a nap. That's okay.
Baron is not a democracy; it's a democracy. But not for long. The Lunars will be overthrown by Fire 3s very quickly. And might be worth it for our runners to take a look at the Baron basement, see if there's something down there they can take on easily.
Yeah, Baron play pretty popular, especially early on. Though sometimes you might not have the party to take down the Odin spot in the basement, but it's usually lucrative, at least valuable to take on the bosses. Right now, it's essentially double womp, but that's okay. We'll be just, instead of taking another trip to the Enterprise, because we already have it. Here's a Baron pot, because that's where all the good stuff is located. And hey,
It's more. Yeah. Did you notice who was turning into stone to keep the walls from closing in on us? It wasn't the twins. It was the Mysidia Elder doing his part first.
Yeah, we'll figure it out after the giant or something. Something like that.
Yeah. Well, the Mysidia Elder was able to unstone the twins, so who's going to unstone him? That's the question.
It's the twins. That's how it works. It's magic. That's how the lore works.
And Rhybon taking that Earth Crystal, and it's time to rate that treasury. And Baron is all sparkles.
Yeah, that's pale dim. No one's. Hey, a burr for hero not in seed. That's and that treasury. I think it was a mixed treasury. I saw a lot of garbage, and then
not much there. Yeah, that was. I'd give that maybe a 3. Like, there was a black belt, the heroine robe in there, and a crystal sword for Sir not appearing in the seed, which can be sold. Other than that, not a lot.
It's a treasury, I guess. It's a treasury.
The Dragoon hat could do some things, and that strength ring will be helpful for that cane. But a question in chat, there were 2 crystal things in that treasury. So the crystal sword is by far the most powerful weapon in the game. Unfortunately, the only character that can equip it is not in this party. The crystal armor is very high defensive stats. However, the downside of that is if you have crystal armor equipped, you cannot be berserked. And berserk is a spell that really increases the utility of your physical fighters. So crystal armor is good to sell. It generates a lot of money. It's not something that you will see equipped all the time.
The only way of bypassing it is through the Avenger, and that's about the only way of doing it. But right now, at least their money problems are completely solved, and we have found our DKC not in the Magus' spot, so not threatening, not worried, but we'll just wait that damage out, and with no issue.
Yeah, with the levels that Rhybon has, this Pain Man is more like a Tickle Man.
probably even the Val spot would be probably more threatening, but who cares? Let him make his speech, because we gotta get going here. Let's while we're young.
Yeah, it's like a graduation speaker whose speech just goes on 10 minutes too long. It's like, okay, we have a party to go to. Let's move it along.
Not Dr. Dialogue. So I guess that's the plus. At least one more objective taken care of. We'll see. We're hoping for something.
And this is kind of a quick start. Both runners will have 3 bosses done, and 3 is about what you would expect on the overworld. Maybe 2, but 3 is definitely within the range of what you would expect.
Yeah, Seed's been kind of generous, but Squid is on the menu in Dwarf 2, so it's one of the nice things about certain checks like Zot is that when you will know what what Dwarf 2 will have. And I don't know what piggy possibility, like the piggy ear meta, very popular. It's certainly I have not mastered it, but it's always good to know, like some of the interesting palette colorations.
Rhybon saw yellow ears and turned one of his characters into a pig in case this is Golbez. It's not Golbez, it's the Magus Sisters, which is yet another required boss.
French vanilla, but in this spot, they're actually a lot more dangerous than usual because of Val spot has a significantly higher magic defense, so if they get to do reflect and Mindy will do the honors of destroying Cindy, have fire, have fun.
What a move from Rhybon. So Rhybon takes down Sandy, the sister in the back, because she is the one who casts Wall on Cindy, and without the wall, Mindy in the front will just incinerate Cindy, which is not nice at all. So really, you know why Rhybon is up 1-0 in these semifinals with that really heads up, really smart play.
Yeah, typically if you know you can destroy Sandy immediately, Sandy and Mindy typically have about the same HP. Sandy has the white magic. Not Cindy. Mindy with the black magic. That's Cindy, who's pretty much holding the group together. So you want to try to sometimes you can be clever. Get rid of the white mage. Let the black mage do the work, do the dirty work, and then have at it on Cindy. So with the rune axe in tow, really for Rhybon, that made dispatching that battle pretty quick.
So Pyre using Virus against Sandy, that indicates to me that his foo, that he did not notice his foo had nuke yet, and now he notices, and that Mindy in the front gets put in the microwave. Rhybon finding a vanilla Edward in Damsian Castle, and Rhybon will take Edward on for now. Doesn't have a choice.
Well, might as well if you have another character. That's fine. I mean, right now you have it between do you want the Sid or do you want the Edward? And there's not or the extra white mage. It's one of those right now. Tella's probably more useful, more versatile than Sid, and like you have more options on the table. So keeping Tella around as the general anchor makes a lot of sense. Sid kind of caps out pretty easily. So, if you get a spoon, keeping Edward becomes a lot more of a play. Though it looks like Rhybon decided, I'm going to use that bard, or maybe not. Well, it hasn't done the check yet, so we'll find out.
Rhybon definitely doesn't think his 5-character party is infallible. Going to see who is in Mysidia. We know it's the white mage duo, and we'll see what he decides here. Edward, see ya.
That was interesting.
Came close to dismissing Foo. I want to say that was a misclick. but,
No, but if you want to say you dominated the seed, eating the food would be a bold choice that would be the first thing. The first thing is like, wait, you really want to do that? I want to like, and if that comes down to win, I would be there for this. But this is a
Wait.
race, so that's not gonna happen. But if it were a community race, I would be. It would be fun just to wonder what is going on here.
Let's put that suggestion in the suggestion box. Like if somebody wants to dismiss Fu after the "Are you sure?" box, it says, "Are you really sure? Are you for sure? For sure?"
It would be spicy, but looking at that, Tala probably does in some ways have limited utility, having more dedicated sources of Berserk online. So I mean, the rest of the team effectively is Berserkers. It's it's magic oriented, but it has some power. So I guess having all the white mages is. It's an interesting choice. Most of the magical offense will be from Fu for a pretty long time. So I guess it's we'll see how that translates though later down this road.
And Pyre did check out the waterfall, as did Rhybon before him, finding only a Bahamut. Bahamut in that spot, pretty free, although it's faster than you might think. The waterfall spot pretty fast. It would be a piece of cake to take down with both Fu's at nuke, but you don't really need bosses anymore. You're going to get Fu up to full power pretty soon just from what you need to do, because you need to go down the hook route anyway. So neither runner deciding to tangle with the Bahamut, they'll let the big counting dragon shower in peace.
Normally I'd think, oh hey, another sparkle that is not required, but it could be Blarg. Blarg is still at large.
So yeah, it can only be Wyvern or Ogopogo. Either way, not fun.
Yeah, that spot might be really spicy. It might be kind of a chore, because even you have food, but you still have to work through the initial Blarg. Anchoring not really an issue, so that it's something. It will be looked at what strat will be taken care. But with this party, you would think you need a little bit more weaponry, but you have I think a Gungnir was picked up, so that probably satisfies that. For Kane, Sid, doesn't really quite matter. Maybe just that I think we saw a Dwarf Axe earlier, so that might be his utility as anchor. But the offense, I think we have a Hammer Rune, so probably we'll take advantage of that. I don't know what kind of arrows we have, but probably should be well off. I think we're not. It might be interesting how we're gonna get the levels on Rosa. Maybe I think the focus will be obviously try to get Fu online as much as possible with all the ethers. In Rhybon's case, just keep feeding him, so and not have to worry about the boss. Whereas Pyre might be a little bit more difficult.
Pointing out that the Sparkle cannot be a Wyvern because Wyvern is one of those bosses that cannot hardgate your only way underground on these flags. Golbez and Valvalis are the other bosses, so we know that's Ogopogo in the second spot. The Evelyn shop, the Evelyn item shop, is stacked. Either one's Hourglass 2s, Star Veils. Pyre picked up some of them, and Dolls in the first spot, and Rhybon atomizes them into nothing. And it is a rope of some nopeness in the second spot.
Yeah, this so the healing will definitely come from Fu. Basic level Porum, basic level Rosa will contribute effectively nothing, and Porum has been the decided anchor at this moment. Probably what most likely happen will be the ultimate slingshot later on. Sid won't be the main damage dealer, but right now Sid will probably be more productive than Porum. So it makes sense that Rhybon using kind of taking advantage of turn economy. Both characters at base level and not contributing, might as well let them stay down.
And Rhybon reflecting a nuke off himself to avoid the counters from Ogopogo, and trying to put this sushi in the microwave. Bad office etiquette, good hook route strategy.
What, you can't have seafood in the microwave? Who'd have thunk that?
Well, you can if you want to be a pariah, sure.
Yeah. So right now, Rhybon doesn't care about the other characters. It's just all that matters that Fu is still alive. Sid will still live, barely by a thread. The thing about Sid was living, and right now at the risk with some ROM buffering to just stay alive for a little bit.
114 more HP than he needed. Had it all the way.
Yeah, this spot, usually, for many runners, it's pretty difficult. But that having reflected nuke is very helpful, and their Ogogos. The counter for a lot of the magic typically is Blaze, which is the ice elemental damaging spell, which takes out a quarter of the max, based off the max HP of the target. So it hurts. So that's on top of the big waves but each big wave does a quarter of the HP of the target as well. So that damage adds up pretty quickly.
Yeah, those big waves really kind of avalanche on each other. Rhybon did give a peek of the boss at the top of the tower. Did you see who that was?
I think I missed that. I was watching Pyre in his fight.
Rhybon does everything quickly, including the peaks. So if somebody in chat lets us know, Dr. Luge at the top of tower from... that would be more vanilla.
Is this even? The scene is starting to look vanilla. This is more vanilla than I expected. I guess that dose of ice cream helped a lot for this vanilla vibe. Rhybon going for the freebie. This is one standard check, and Dr. Luge doesn't. It's not even not on the table, so probably not as important. Will probably be something to look at before leaving the underground. Pyre will also do the same peak. Not too far behind. Maybe like a minute or two behind. But won't take much to lose time in any given situation.
We do know the second boss in Dwarf Castle. It is not Golbez, so that part of it. Hey, Deathlike, say it. Say the line.
We can go to the underground now.
Woohoo!
Hooray!
Yay!
But
did it.
It's a key item. So for our runners, getting to 10 key items, the magical number of 10, so that we can get double XP for any grind. That'd be great. And we have a whole bunch of stuff that we already picked up. Would you like another charm rod? You can buy some here in its vanilla store location.
Yeah, Magma Key is nice only as a key item and also as a meme, but only 5 key items so far for Rhybon, so even now it doesn't, every little bit helps, but it's only a little bit.
I think I saw one free. I don't know what it was. But I saw Odin at that spot. So that's a must. You should be it's reasonable to go in the Azure spot. Surprisingly, Azure spot, high in magic, not high on HP. So with Fu pretty much online, we'll have no problem. Pyre will be taking on the Baron guards, so should not be a problem. But can be problematic some of the time because hey, see that punch? Yeah, that's one of the reasons.
Yeah, in the wrong spot, they can really ruin your day. And surprisingly, the doll spot, one of those spots. The other boss down in the Fame Arch, by the way, some variant of free. It's some Mylon. We haven't seen either Mylon or Mylon Z. This Odin, um, it might hurt, and Fu whiffs on the Lit 3 cast. That's bad luck.
Right now that battle is going a little red, but Pyre, it should be fine. There's not both those guards won't really be able to take on Fu. Rosa might go down, but Fu won't have a problem. Rhybon will take on that spot. I think if it's Mylon Z, the Fu will be fine. The armor is not an issue. Because the Fu's starting equipment has undead protection in the form of the wizard hat and the Sork robe, so that's not a problem. The question is really what boss it is. If it's the dance party, you can't really ignore the undead. If you get rid of Mylon and the undead zombies are still there, those zombies they will make your life very, very miserable.
So Octobam in the second spot in Dwarf Castle, and Rhybon going to jump over this Odin attack and try to set up a potential Kane Durstruck. So after Odin does his Odin attack twice, if you hit Odin with any kind of lightning spell at all, the message will say Thunderstruck Odin, and Odin will die no matter how much HP he has. In order to do that, you need to jump over that devastating Odin attack with Kane. Rhybon's timing just a little bit off. He gave it a good try, but he decides he'll come back for it later.
Yeah, it can be tricky. The timing is kind of specific, so it probably not something that gets practice. Though it is very good tech to have in your belt. It's kind of like having knowing the Eddie Hyde strat. There's effectively the equivalent of it. It's worth learning, and would shave off quite a bit of time, because that trick, especially without the levels on the rest of the party members, because they just can't they can't take the Odin hit, or they won't do enough damage. So that's one of those things that you can shave off quite a bit of time in a race. Failing to do so, not the worst thing. Better to come back to it and not try to bang your head on the wall against it. It's probably not worth it at the moment.
Armor Shop is a letdown. Leviathan Orb is the only tier 5 item there, which can only be learned by one person who is not appearing in the scene.
The shops, a lot of the Gator shops. So when we talk about shops, ideal shopping locations are usually are the gated ones. So we're talking about Baron, when the weapon and armor shop, Cave Evelyn, Underground, and also the Moon. So those are the places where we get access to tier 5 items and weapons and armor. Those typically are the kinds of things that you really want available for your party, like ninja swords or Sork robes, or typically items in the form of Bacchus wine. So those you just if as a runner you see runners use it often. Well, you can't live without them. It makes life that much safer for all of our runners. So this can't just ignore item shops of any sort, especially for looking for sirens for a grind.
Yeah, no sirens available yet. Speaking of Bacchus wines, they're having party in the Fey March and selling lots of wine, and Pyre is looking to go party with that Odin. We'll see if Pyre has better luck than Rhybon.
Right now, the real difference is kind of the levels. Pyre has, while a little bit kind of running a little bit behind, doing the same things Rhybon previously did, has actual levels, but not measurable enough quite yet. Rhybon, been a little bit more reckless, didn't really care because hey, we'll do a grind and all will be right in the world. So sometimes it once since Rhybon's probably more geared towards doing a D machine grind, at least for now. We'll see if that happens. Probably we'll attempt that and hope with ideally 10 key items in hand, but might not even need that. That's just be an equalizer. You don't have to get your levels that early. So as long as you get it quickly as and efficiently as possible, it probably doesn't make a difference.
They're looking to set up much the same strategy as Rhybon did, going to try and keep that Kane alive for as long as possible in order to potentially Thunderstruck Odin. Rhybon setting up the Sheila check. Both runners, by the way, did get a Rat Tail from Dwarf Castle that is available to our runners immediately with that hook. So that's another key item check. And our runners still need, in order to access bosses, a Twin Harp, Tower Key, a Luca Key, and of course the Darkness Crystal.
I think right now maybe Rhybon thinking that the Rat Tail might be unlocking something like the Tower Key or maybe the Pan. You want right now key items not kind of at a premium, and hey, required Odin gives required moon access. So yeah, that's a Pyre is kind of ahead just based on completing the Odin fight.
We can't say for sure that it's strictly required, but it sure seems that way. The Darkness Crystal just opens up so many boss locations that Pyre has a huge advantage at this point. And Pyre didn't even need to Thunderstruck Odin. Pyre just went at it full bore, came in loaded for bear, and took down Odin before Odin could even get the attack off. So Pyre in a big lead right now.
Yeah, Odin very extraordinarily weak to lightning, and it looks like Rhybon, Sheila won. Nope, that is not.
Yeah, Odin is also really weak to nuke, which is what Pyre used a lot.
Yeah, so that Tella, usually in the damage department you just kind of shrug a little bit. It's the Tella life thing. When a boss like Odin or like elements, they're extraordinarily weak to elemental magic. Tella looks kind of like a god. He's just awesome. The damage might not be quad 9s all the time, but north of 5,000 damage is pretty good for that old man. I mean, Fu with nuke obviously awesome, but Tella doing Tella work. I mean, I can't. Underrated for a lot of things, and when you use him at the right times, he can do work.
Rhybon making a really interesting play here. Instead of going back to that Odin, is going to tangle with the Pale Dim here in the basement. Pale Dim down here will be annoying, but should be doable at these levels, and Rhybon certainly hoping for progression or for something nice out of this.
Yeah, but it's not going to be darkness, so right now Rhybon's hoping to find darkness. I mean, obviously we're hoping for other key items like Luca or Harp, but it's not going to be to darkness, which Pyre kind of is in the driver's seat. We'll be finding out that a coffin is ready for him, and probably
is a coffin the worst thing that Sheila could give you? Like it's not only is it not anything that we would like to see, it's also kind of foreboding.
I mean, I know some runners like to use that particular item on a particular character, mainly a Porum. So, it is something. It's just something. It's an item. That's all I gotta say. Yeah. It's an item.
Pyre seeing the either twos in Fabul. I think Pyre had seen them earlier, and yeah, just stocking up on more. Now that Pyre has the Darkness Crystal, Pyre's going to get his levels and burn down the rest of the seed.
Yeah, it's probably gonna lean towards going to the moon, but we'll see. Wait, well, I guess could have kept it for Kane, but probably at this point, not much of an upgrade over Gungnir. Gungnir is like 80%. I mean, he has 80 attack power, but it's literally 80% of Kane's potential, so it's not the worst thing. And Pyre has decided, hey, I actually need an anchor, a real anchor, and probably because Tella might have gained too many levels, so that might be the case. Well, probably worth asking. There's a point where Fu has going to be doing a lot of the work, but Tella with that early utility, he's kind of done his job for the seed, at least for Pyre.
Yeah, and he doesn't need another worse Fu. Now that Fu has all his spells, Fu can do everything that Tella can do and better. So that Sid he can keep down to keep his agility low. Pyre will summon the big whale, which will allow him to go to the moon and take on those 6 boss spots up there. Also will allow him to go to the giant, which will open up some really nice grind opportunities, particularly the D Machine grind.
While we have some of the cutscenes still in, the runners often take that minute, that just to think about what is next. And Rhybon has decided, what that Odin probably has darkness. We don't know what top of tower is it Sparkle or no Dr. Luge. So there is probably it could be just a tower key. Well, that might be vanilla, but obviously this is definitely going to be the right play. This is required as well. So nothing wrong with going with doing the required objective.
And I mean the only sources of progression left on the blue planet are the Some Flavor of Mylon, this Odin, and top of tower. So it's kind of a no-brainer to go from here, especially when you think you have a strategy and you just need to get the timing down on it.
So the real difference between this iteration and the last one is Porum got a slow off. That usually, at least in my opinion, typically helps immensely when it comes to timing. You need the extra couple seconds, and hey, Thunderstruck.
Thunder, darkness, crystal.
I actually recognized the reference just as you say. I was like, that. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. It's like, what are you saying? Oh yeah, do it. And that works out for Rhybon. The extra slow. Slow is a really strong magic, especially when bosses where bosses late game will typically kind of overwhelm you in terms of speed and things like that trick. Slow, it's the base level spell for both Rosa and Porum. It's very underrated, and you cannot be said. If you need that extra slow, cast it. They can take a nap. That's fine.
So Pyre making an interesting play here, eschewing the grind. I think Pyre is just going to go for moon bosses to get the rest of his levels. He has to feel he's fairly close to Z ready. Just needs to find those 2 bosses.
It's right now. I'm usually in the face check mode when I'm at 6, 5. I mean, it's kind of iffy, but there's a reasonable chance that you'll find 2 out of the 2 bosses that you'll need to complete the seed. So this is interesting. Didn't even do the Pale Dim slot, but with Pass in hand, probably makes sense in Pyre's mind to just do a bottom up search through the boss checks. So I totally understand that. And with Rhybon deciding, hey, Giant is an option. Why not look there?
Yeah, this is huge divergence. So this will be really fun to see how this works out. Pyre did check out the White Spear altar. King Queen Eblin is free, but Pyre's not interested. The turtle in the D lunar spot, not free, and also not interested.
I think the King Queen Eblin was a lot more appealing than the turtle.
Yeah.
The turtle having combined HP of both D lunars, that will overwhelm most teams pretty easily. Even so, probably not worth the risk. Is fine. But if this is not a boss that we're looking for at the Ogo spot, then this is not turning 8. But this is free, so might as you know what? Doing this and then follow up with King Queen Eblin might be worth doing. This is free XP on the table, so why not take it? Don't have to do at least mitigate the actual grind. So
yeah, the only problem is if Sid gets too many levels. And Rhybon checking the element spot, and no, not what he needs.
Ruby at that spot, but Rhybon, seeing that, it's like, you know what? It's time of the seed. How about a grind? So Sid will probably be taking a nap, and Porum will be slingshotted all the way in terms of level. So to explain the slingshot, what you have to be, how to qualify slingshot is having 5 characters, and you have to be 5 levels below the median level. So the median being the middle, not the average. Mean is the average. Median is the middle. So, and Porum having not gained a single level, in Rhybon's case, will be slingshotted. I don't know if any other, if probably Rosa qualifies. On Rosa still based. So both the white mages qualify for this benefit. Right now, Rhybon's doing the trying to figure out the steps in order to trigger the appropriate fight.
Pyre did find the Luca key from that water hag. That means there are 2 bosses left that are gated behind key items that we don't have yet. So Pyre could be in full face check mode because it has 3 bosses, even if they're all hiding in the very best spots they can. You're guaranteed to have access to almost everybody you need.
Hey, it's a boss we need.
And yes, this is a required Mom Bomb. Crystal Sword Altar has really high physical attack, and Pyre going to get those blinks up. Mom Bomb, as with any physical boss, tickles here a little bit.
Yeah, the punches will be real, but one of the things about Mom Bomb, and technically dolls, that shared MP pool. So, yeah, the Mom Bomb, when it explodes, generates the 6 bombs, smaller bombs, 3 bombs, 3 gray bombs. They eat into the HP pool. So while Mom Bomb will have the bulk of the HP, those smaller bombs will eat up a little bit. So the Wyvern spot, while having like around 30,000, I don't know the exact number, it's not going to be as high. And the fortunate part is, especially in the exploding phase where there's a 10,000 HP buffer, you can just nuke that down with a little bit of help. And that the Mom Bomb fight isn't kind of as threatening as it normally would be.
Hello, Rosa. Hello, Porum. I'm a Mom Bomb.
I don't know the music reference. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Okay. Here's a pro tip for you. Whenever you just say, "Oh yeah," and then it looks like you're cool. You're hip with the lingo.
I'll just gonna nod, silently nod, and shake my head at the same time. It's fun. It's all right.
Meanwhile, Rhybon is taking on Derek Mist and his brother Derek, or Derek Machine and his brother Derek, and his other brother Derek.
It's funny. It's funny that they didn't put the D at the end. They just put D in front of in front of the monster. It's interesting how the designers put that together. But there's a spoon. We had a bard, but I don't think bard will appear at the scene. Will appear for our players. That yes, we found a bard, but
let's okay. So
yeah.
let's just. I say that we combine our mental focus and we kind of do the secret on our runners. Like, you want Edward, take the Edward. Edward has the spoon. Do it.
Pyre could still do that. Pyre hasn't done his grind, so that actually could be on the table for that. Rhybon, on the other hand, is already in the midst of doing the D money grind, and yeah, that grind can go awry pretty easily. So it's when you're doing a lot of farming, it takes time, and any interruption to that can be pretty devastating in terms of time consumed. So it's grinds of this nature can be tricky, and right now Rhybon's decided it's done. So when you see the week,
it's over. Pyre going back to the one spot left on the lunar subterrane. That boss is not what he's looking for. He's only looking for one more. We'll get to check Cave Bahamut, and we'll see if the Cave Bahamut has value.
Surprising that wasn't checked before the LST dive, because the boss is free. Like, you see what it is, you know what to do. So typically, it's one thing to just check K value, see if the boss is what you need before you do an LST dive. It's like if it's what I want to do, maybe I do the grind here. If it's not the boss, it's you're as a runner, you have whatever you want, but yeah, that's required. But do you really want to do this? But this also means Pyre is in the driver's seat. That is something.
CPU here, not as bad as it could be. There's no physical attack here, which is what you really need to look out for from this spot. But CPU always annoying, especially with this kind of party. Quake is available on Fu, but you can't direct nuke the CPU. CPU has a wall on it.
Yeah, but Pyre got the early slow, so that helps a bit. So we're gonna. I don't know what spell food. We're doing reflect. We're doing nuke on the defender. Defender being the most important target because the healing matters. Sets you back if you don't get rid of it, which is the vanilla tip. CPU used kind of on par with the slog of Demus. The biggest problem with the fight is how slow it typically is. Like, it's the CPU's in the back row, while King has jump, but you are not going to use. You're doing a lot of kind of suboptimal attempts to get rid of it, and sometimes you might even consider. It looks like Pyre is doing reflex strats, and hey, now it's perfect. Now
nice.
We can do Quake. And
okay, so real quick. So the orbs kind of look like they're floating, but they don't. They're actually right on the ground. But the problem if you cast so Quake goes through wall. But the problem is if you cast Quake on both the CPU and the front orbs, the front orbs die, and then the CPU gets really mad and casts an instant kill spell on on various members of your party. So now if the front orb is floating, then you can Quake the back orb all day, and the Quake will pierce right through that wall and do big damage.
The actual attribute that allows monsters to actually avoid Quake is being weak to arrows. Is when you scan them, this boss, not even a machine, not weak to arrows. So that is That is something I think there was a misclick on Quake. Which is why Porum is stopped. But probably she won't really have contributed. Rosa probably would have done the healing. Doesn't make a difference. But right now CPU is at the mercy of Pyre's Quake from Fu, and we will see. Ironically, what's at the CPU's like, hey, it's Blarg.
So Rhybon made it through that Rubicante spot. Rubicante was expecting all of his other friends to be there, but they were not. So he said, "Oh, I lost now." So a nice script kill, but the second boss in the giant not required. Rhybon does not want to fight his way through that. Will walk back out with the help of Warp.
Unfortunately, not. Unfortunately for Rhybon, Pyre will definitely progress further. So needs to actually do the LST dive immediately. So it looks like that's on table. Rhybon might also check the K value first, so that then will enable him to face check everything in the LST to find the required mom bomb at the, I think was it the Wyvern spot. So
Yes.
that's gonna take time because a lot of routing typically avoids that spot. Sometimes, although if you're doing a true top-down search, then Wyvern is number 2 on that list. So it depends on if Rhybon does a true top-down search of bosses.
So, as our tracker Judge Joe pointing out, if Pyre is counting, you know what other spell goes right through walls? Meteo. Could have a swag Meteo on the table. That would definitely require a firm grasp of how much damage you have been doing and how much health the CPU has left.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you like. I like the rocks attempt if you were trying to do a burst type of damage. Like if you have Fu and Tella, and you just try to burst down damage quickly as possible. Especially if you had a Palom, where you get like Palom the bluff all the way to max wisdom, and then start the Meteo or start Quake, particularly Quake, and and you just kind of do a lot of damage quickly before the Globe 199 shows up. And when Globe 199 shows up, the party's kind of over for a bit, and then you have to kind of restart, try to recover and restart. So with Fu not having the strongest of spell power, even though probably with the Charm Rod we'll still, it's just a slog. You just Quake whittle down the CPU, and shouldn't be too long for Pyre to finish this battle, the attacker being the only thing left on the table.
Yeah, Pyre will nuke that poor attacker to bits, will have his 7th boss vanquished, and will have his crystal. And could take that whale back down to the blue planet and use the pass. Would probably be faster than taking that entire walk down the LST.
It's actually a perfect time for Pyre. That's the 10th key item. So if Pyre wants to do a grind, and this is the place to do it, the grind is operational. That's online. I don't know if we found any sirens, but if there's a grind to be had, it's to be done right now. Unless if we're happy with the party, Rhybon clearly ahead of the game, but still needs to do a lot more. Still has to find the mom bomb. So that will be right now not having a good time with CPU as been, if you've seen both fights happening.
Yeah, Rhybon went for the more direct path. Did not do enough damage to the CPU to fend off the Globe 199s, and then CPU resurrected both the attacker and the defender. If the defender gets a remedy or two off, it will really set him back. And Pyre, heading back down to the blue planet, is gonna go back to the Tower of Wishes to pick up a new character, and I think he wants a low-level Eddie as an anchor. And it takes him instead of Porum. Once again, a low-level person in the middle slot will really help slow down Zeromus, give your people a lot more turns. So even though Edward is not the most useful character, even though Pyre has the spoon, which can be equipped on Eddie in these flags, he is in the position to really slow down Zeromus and play his part that way. And Rhybon is through that CPU faster than Pyre, a little bit rougher, but Rhybon is through and only has one more boss to go for his crystal.
Was that a mass Starveil purchase? I think that's what I saw.
Yeah,
that's what I'm seeing. Then the plan is literally Eddie strats, because there's you could probably it's Eddie. It's Fu and Friends into Eddie strats. That's what it comes down to, which is a interesting combination. It's something that you have an Edward. And he's going to be the anchor, which is usually part of the strat itself. We're definitely not using Sid, as Sid might have gained too many levels, so that might be adjusted pretty quickly. But Fu and Friends, typically the basic strat is you have Fu and other friends, ideally with they're usually 1200 HP or above. It's shared with 1200 HP strats. Having a nerfed Big Bang from Z lowers his spell multiplier to the point where he will do at most 1200 points of damage. Assumes that your party has no magic defense. And that's not factoring in the HP leak that happens. So it's that time. There's two things going on.
Yeah. So Rhybon is making the big play for the Twin Harp. This isn't a play you make when you feel ahead, I don't think. I think Rhybon feels like he got to that Odin late. It wants to make the lower percentage play, hopes to spike a Goldaz here. But Pyre is going to the big boss at the end. Zeromus, we can't move him around. He's too big, he's too smelly, and he just likes to sit here. But we do like to dress Zeromus up, because this is a randomizer, and so Deathlike, we have a question to ask.
Yes. Are we taking a nap tonight? No, that's not it. It's whose butt are we going to kick tonight?
In the name of the Red Moon, we will be vanquishing whom?
And, with side questions like, does it have a hat? Does it have a butt? Oh yeah, those really important questions, burning questions that need to be answered immediately. With over 500, but there's also some music that looks like we'll be playing at the same time.
We randomized the harp too. We randomized the harp too. Well, that was nice music, but that was a quick reset out of that because Demist is not required. Meanwhile, the Z sprite is Jenny from the block, Zemus.
Right off some halftime show or something. It's it's hard to contextualize which one this comes from. It's fine. Rhybon needs gambling again with the package, hoping for a Goldaz. We definitely don't know. I don't believe we've seen what's at the spot, so that it's the last check, so it's fine. And right now, Pyre's just gonna do as much as he can with Edward heading for the bulk of it until it is time to show up.
Yeah, so lots of Starveils, lots of vampires to keep the Big Bangs nerfed and elicit nukes that will reflect off his own party. Rhybon is checking this package to see who the boss is. Back here, another low percentage play, but it could work out.
So the purpose of Vampire, not going to do significant damage, but the primary purpose is to get a heal after the nerf Big Bang. And at any time when you're doing some magic spell, not summon, to Z, you will have at least in the very initial phase, you will get the first Big Bang nerfed, but subsequent ones require some timing after a shake. There's kind of a gap between. There's like kind of turns in between. Shake, do nothing, but also set the spell power, and then do Big Bang. So you want to get that hit in where the spell power set. You want to get hit him right with a spell, right then there, and that will allow for the Big Bang nerf to occur. And Eddie's gonna take a nap. That was probably an unexpected input.
Yeah, Eddie will go down, but otherwise the plan to elicit counter nukes off of the Star-Veiled characters working as planned.
The strat is a little bit slow, so it's worth asking the question, why is using echo notes for the other characters after consuming all those vampires? And one of the things you want to do in strat is use an item that triggers it. So any item typically is essentially effectively magic, and since it's being used on Z, Z uses the magic counter. It doesn't do damage, which is an important attribute, and so it doesn't trigger the refill, and that's the most important part of the trick. When you're especially when you're considering that the reflecting nukes also will not trigger the refill, is what makes the trick very powerful. Also, one of the things that also happens is that you don't. I'm forgetting something about this. it's just a important trick. You want to trigger. You don't want to use a heal potion. Echo Note, while it does have the heal-like effect, heal has one attribute that it resets the speed of the boss. So when you use slow or silk web, that slows down the boss, and you don't want to make that boss go back to normal speed.
So the sprite is Zemus, but really Pyre coming in here like a wrecking ball, executing this Fu and Friends tactic to really good precision.
Yeah, so this what this flag set, you get like a pair of, I think a pair, maybe a third elixir that allows the Fu and Friends strat to be really effective. Fu can use typically 3 nukes. He has 190 MP. Nukes cost 50, so you can only use 3 unless you have a Soma drop pickup, and I don't think that was picked up. So it is what it is. And you do as much damage with Fu as much as possible. So it's kind of a slow going, and it could be a slog, but you're kind of safe if you were kind of taking the time to practice this. All runners practice. You've seen the Kane Thunderstruck play. There's just a ton of things that will reflect or wear off.
Yeah, so Pyre attempted to reflect a nuke off of Rosa, but the Star Veil fell off of Rosa, or it might have been a wall cast on her because the walls still appeared to be up on the others. So an unfortunate nuke to the face there, but Pyre going to try to recover.
Yeah, so Black Hole would have kind of removed the wall. Anyways, no big deal. Have a time to heal, and then we'll pop on another Star Veil right on Rosa again. So hey, let's try this again. It's fine. With all the extra, with the Ethers 2s in hand, I mean, getting the Crystal Sword and the Crystal Armor, pretty much got the war chest to pay for this particular strat. Makes a lot of sense in Pyre. Like, didn't do much of a grind. So in Pyre's case, the strat makes sense for the lack of grinding being done. Where Rhybon, having completely done the grind, that's paying off in a way. But right now, still doing the Mom Bomb fight.
Halo had a hit song with I'm Real. This strategy relies on Zemus to be real dumb and keep throwing nukes at you even though they just bounce back and hit Z in the face.
They're just endless number of puns. I'll leave it at that. The nukes, it's always nice to see. Oh, and look, there it is. There it is. Z going down.
Pyre has done it. Pyre takes game 2 and forces a pivotal game 3 in the semifinals of the Red Moon Waxing bracket, taking this race in a time of 1 hour, 17 minutes, 51 seconds with a brilliantly executed Fu and Friends strategy. And Zemus goes down, and we are joined by our winner tonight, Pyre. GG's.
GG, thank you.
So that Odin fight really put you in the driver's seat in this seed, and instead of trying to get cute on a Thunderstruck strategy, you just went in loaded for bear and came at Odin with everything you had.
Yeah, I didn't have any Silk Webs to help slow him down because I don't have too much practice at Thunderstrucking Odin, but I figured with a slow battlefield and Fu with nuke, and I'd have to throw away my Tela anchor for an extra lit 3 to help get through, probably. So I figured I could make it through, so I wanted to go the safe route.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. I mean, the late Edward, I thought you were doing Fu and Friends into to Bard strats, hiding through all of that. That was still, despite not needing Eddie, I probably think he was hit. I assumed you let him unhide so to hinder your primary strat. Was that the case?
Yeah, I hit him by accident, and I brought him back out just to get him down to get him out of the queue, so I wouldn't get his turn on a very bad turn to not nerf Big Bang.
I think it was an interesting kind of choice. Like using the Tela, ditching the Tela. I think Porm was your initial anchor, and then ending with Eddie. I mean, what was going through your mind when with the characters that showed up in the seed, like how you use them?
Well, with the characters that I had, I figured I would just rely on Fu the whole time, and I kept Porum and Rosa in my party just in case. I found a darkness early. We could do a quick D-machine to get him to white if I still had plenty of bosses left, and I just happened to see where the Star Veils and Vampires were to help heal up because I didn't see Cure 3s. So I figured I went with just whatever, I guess. It was all Fu there pretty much.
Was it a straight decision to kind of to just go through essentially Fu and Friend strats like this? Like, you didn't do a grind, effectively really didn't do a grind. So did that make sense to you? Like, I guess to try to make up time, did you feel like you were behind at any point?
Yeah, I felt a little behind because I forgot to write down who was on top of tower, and I forgot who it was, but I knew they were red, so I went through Dwarf pointlessly. That wasted a few minutes. That made me feel behind. And there was no sirens as well, so my guys were pretty low level. I accidentally let my Sid anchor get XP, so I had to swap him out again, but it worked out in the end because I had to swap him another character in because he already had a boatload of HP for Fu and Friends anyway.
Well, you did just deal Rhybon his first defeat of this tournament, forcing a game 3. What are your thoughts on how you're playing and any potential strategies for game 3?
My thoughts, I played this one a lot better than I played the first one. For the game 3, I think I'm just going to try to stick to the basics, what I know the best, and try to remember everything and write it down so I don't pointlessly go through stuff. But that's pretty much it.
Well, you certainly remembered to play a really effective race. In this one, we really thought that your routing and your playing was on a point, and there's a reason you made it to the semifinals.
Yeah, I'm just trying to do the best I can, I guess. Still, lots of mistakes to iron out. Well, I see them anyway.
Well, Deathlike, any more questions for our Game 2 winner, Pyre?
No, I think outside of maybe your thoughts on the seed, just to let you know, I think if I recall, the top of tower was actually Vanilla Dr. Luge.
Yep, it was.
Yeah,
if I remember. Yep. I meant top of Zot. I forgot to spy who the boss was at the top of Zot, not tower. My bad.
Yeah, the seed did have a lot of required bosses early on, so it kind of lent itself to a little bit of a jet, and you managed that well.
Yeah, I really like jet seeds because I played a lot of supermarket sweeps, so I'm used to doing stuff at lower levels, more power, but I've done Fu and Friends quite a lot, so the Star Veil dropping off of Rosa slightly early confused me, but it probably had something to do with my Eddie Anchor or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a little unfortunate, but a mark of a champion is how well you recovered and you took care of that JLo miss. And do you have a favorite JLo song?
I do not.
Okay, well, thanks for keeping it real, and we'll make sure to remind you that our love for Pyre does not cost a thing. Pyre, our winner tonight, forces Game 3 tomorrow. So, do you know what time your Game 3 is?
I think it's at 8 Eastern, but don't hold me to that. I don't quite remember off the top of my head.
All right, join the Discord. The Final Fantasy IV free enterprise Discord is going to be the best place to see the updated schedules and all of the channel information, but definitely keep an eye out for Game 3 tomorrow between Rhybon and Pyre. Pyre, once again, GG's. And best of luck in Game 3.
Thank you, and thanks for doing all the restreaming work, all 4 of you.
GG's again to Pyre.
All right, have a good night. Bye.
And do want to remind you that we do have a couple of races on the schedule already for tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern on RPG Limit Break. That's right here. That's this very channel. Zoe Vermilion and Beauty in Discovery. Also on Free Enterprise 2 tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, there's Sorbius versus IB Karma. So lots more Free Enterprise action coming up tomorrow. Once again, do want to thank our restreamer Bad Karma for bringing us all the pretty pictures, Judge Joe for pushing all of the pretty buttons, and thanks to the man with all the action, Deathlike, for being here with me in the booth tonight.
Oh, that was a lot of fun. I just need to keep up with all the hip music references. That's all right.
Yeah. Now you know what you're getting yourself into.
That's fine. So we'll be sending you off to Noob Tree 87, and all matches tomorrow will start as early as 9 a.m. Eastern. So yeah, there will be at least a match every 3 hours from that point, 3 to 4 hours. So I think it's the one at 9 a.m. and then one at 12 noon. And I think one falling at 3 or 4. So there will be free enterprise matches for both Blue and Red Moon all day tomorrow. So don't be surprised. There will be a match.
Yeah, definitely check the Discord for the full channel. We'll send you over to Noob Tree doing Blue Moon practice. Until next time, so long.
And see you all next seed.